What's going on, guys? This is Miasin, and today I'm bringing you guys what I think are the best budget decks for this upcoming format. So in no particular specific order, because there are so many variables to take into consideration. For example, the consistency and power level of the deck, the price of the deck, etc. So before this video starts, make sure to like and subscribe, and also check me out on Twitch and Instagram. Really motivates me a lot to keep making videos like these. And yeah, let's jump right into it. Alright, number 10 is going to be SForce. I think the deck is very consistent, and it's just that kind of deck that becomes better and better over time. It can play Dimension Shifter. It's super cheap. Like, you barely have to spend anything for the core. It can play Extravagance, which actually got a reprint, so it's cheaper than Prosperity now, which is pretty cool. And yeah, overall, it's a very fun deck as well. Kind of rogue level, not super meta, but good nonetheless. So you can definitely win even regionals with this deck, and that's the reason why it's in my top 10. Number 9 is a deck that a lot of people can agree with me on the fact that the deck is very good, and it's also very beginner friendly, and that would be Shark Rank 4 Spam. You don't really need to invest that much money for the actual deck. Only staples are expensive, and that's actually an argument that pretty much going to be using for the majority of the decks here. But yeah, you don't really have to spend too much on the actual Shark cards. The majority of the monsters in the main deck, like I said, are worth anywhere between like 50 cents to $1 sometimes, and even the Aqua Mirror is not worth anything. The extra deck cards, okay, yeah, sure, maybe Bahamut Shark is relatively expensive. Utopic Draco Future, the big one that negates, is also rather expensive, but apart from that, you're not really looking at super expensive cards. Even if there are some expensive cards in the extra deck, you can get away with only playing one of them, so it's really not that bad. And again, that's a really good reason to put Shark in the top 10. Number 8 is most likely going to be Ad Ignister. I know the actual core is worth literally nothing, and with Deco Talker Heat Soul, it also is that kind of deck that just becomes better and better over time, because you no longer have to specifically turbo the big boss monster and pass. You can start controlling with trap cards and hand traps, drawing multiple cards with Deco Talker Heat Soul, maybe incorporate a very small Code Talker engine in your deck. I want to put Code Talker at the same position I would with Ad Ignister, and maybe Salamandrate while we're at it, because they're all like Cyrus decks that kind of share a lot of similar common cards. Very good deck. Of course, though, staples like Access Code Talker are rather expensive, so if you can play your deck without these cards, all the better. Alright, next up would probably have to be Earth Machine. I know it can use Skill Drain very well. It indirectly got a new boost from the ban list, and that works really well with Citadel, because every time your monster dies, you just revive back the Citadel, which has 3k attack. Kind of similar to how Blue Eyes White Dragon would utilize Skill Drain really well. Your very small monsters can turn into big boys, and a lot of decks can just not really jump over 3k monsters with their main deck only cards. Yeah, Skill Drain and Earth Machine very good, and the deck itself is worth literally absolutely nothing. Now, Dinosaur is also a very good deck. I don't know how good it is without all the combo-esque cards, but pure Dinosaur with Lost World and stuff like that is very cheap and very effective. Virtual World is super cheap for the most part, but there are some cards that are kind of expensive, so because of that, it's not going to be like number 1, but it's still extremely good, and you can play literally like Shen Chuche Turbo. You can play trap cards in Virtual World for that matter, and you're going to be doing pretty well with the deck, so yeah, you don't really have to spend that much. Yeah, sure, Desires going from 3 to 1 is a little annoying. That kind of forces you to play Proud of Prosperity, which you can't really afford to do that, so if you're on a budget, just play Foolish Burial Goods instead, and you should be fine. Alright, number 4 on the list is Altergeist. I think the deck is really good. It can abuse Skill Drain. Ironically, a lot of people might be like, how? What the heck? It negates your own cards. Well, Altergeist Protocol prevents Altergeist monsters from being negated. So their activations, I believe, and their effects, which is pretty freaking insane. The deck uses Skill Drain really well, which means that it got a slight boost, rather, from the ban list, which is pretty cool. And of course, thanks to the Cyber Strike structure deck, it just became even cheaper thanks to Imperm getting reprinted. So you don't really have to look at like $100 Imperm for each copy, which used to be absolutely ridiculous. So Altergeist, pretty good deck. Number 3 is going to be Prank Kids, without the Brave Token though, because Brave Token is going to be super expensive. Aquamancer's already like 50 something Canadian, which is a little ridiculous, but yeah, it's a very good deck. Again, the core of Prank Kids is worth nothing at all, so you're only really looking at hand traps and staples. I mean, you can still play budget alternatives, so it's really not the end of the world. Number 2, and this is where it gets fun, Burning Abyss featuring Snow. Now, it's really up to you whether you want to play with or without the trap cards. guys. So you can play like a more aggressive version with Orbital Hydra Lander. I know this one is also very cheap, but then if you have to play hand traps that are a little more expensive, maybe not. Whereas with the trap build, you can play the super cheap trap cards like Breakthrough, Lost Wind. Ice Dragon's Prison is actually very cheap now. It got reprinted. Just a bunch of trap cards are now super cheap, and they work really well with Burning Abyss, and Fairy Tail Snow is, of course, very freaking insane in the deck. So personally, I'm a huge fan, and if you are playing with Fairy Tail Snow, you're not really forced to play Destiny Hero Destroy Phoenix Enforcer because you're always trying to mill through Dante, and that would conflict with the Destiny Hero bricks because you might mill them. It's actually better for you since you don't have to play cards that are actually expensive, which means that this version of Burning Abyss is actually cheaper than the previous best build. And last but definitely not least, I want to say one of the best budget decks to play for the upcoming format would have to be Flunderies. The deck is just getting better and better, again with a quick play spell card. Ryza is like the most expensive card, I think, and even then you're just only really needing one of them, so it's not the end of the world. You don't even need an extra deck. Like, you can play 15 garbage cards that you're never even gonna summon. They're just like Pot of Prosperity fodders, and you're good to go. So the deck really similar to like Monarch, how you don't have to spend like that much on the core, and then you don't need like that much more on top of that. So very good deck. And again, it's not even like it was just a good solid like option. No, it's actually something that might win you events completely because it is genuinely tier 1 status. So that's pretty much all I had to say for this top 10 video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.